good morning, or at least that's what you tell yourself as you swing your legs out of bed and feel that familiar creak in your knees, the dull ache in your fingers, or the tightness across your lower back that wasn't there 10 years ago.
You've probably been told by well-meaning friends or even your GP that stiff joints are just part of getting old.
Well, here's the truth they often miss. While some wear and tear is inevitable, the speed at which your joints stiffen is not set in stone. You put on your plate in the next few weeks can change the trajectory far more powerfully than most people realize.
Today I'm going to share 7 ordinary foods, nothing exotic or expensive, that research shows can ease joint stiffness. And yes, one of them is something you probably already have in your kitchen right now. It works better than many of the joint supplements lining the shelves at Boots or Walgreens. So why joints stiffen after 45, and why diet matters more than you think?
After 45, 3 things happen almost silently.
The cartilage in your joint starts to thin and lose water content. Low-grade inflammation begins to smolder throughout the body.
Your natural production of collagen drops by about 1 to 2% every year.
All right, so let's talk about the solution. Fatty fish. This isn't just a general health tip, eat more fish. No, this is a targeted strategy. Fatty fish is pretty much the single best natural source of these incredible joint-protecting compounds called omega-3s. Think of them as your body's own internal anti-stiffness crew. Okay, so here's a crucial point. Not all omega-3s are the same. When we're talking about joint inflammation, the 2 real heavy hitters are these guys, EPA and DHA. You can think of them as the special forces of the omega-3 world. They go directly to where the inflammation is and just calm everything down. Just 3 weeks. That's it. That's how long it took for people in a 2022 study, adults over 50, to see real, noticeable improvements just from eating salmon. Another study saw the same thing with something as simple as tinned mackerel. So we're not talking about a change that takes 6 months to feel. We're talking about feeling better in less than a month. And here is the payoff. A 30% drop in morning stiffness. Just take a second and actually imagine that. What would it feel like to wake up tomorrow feeling 30% less stiff? What would that mean for the rest of your day? It's a huge, tangible difference from such a simple change. Okay, so the science is definitely there, the results are compelling, but how do you actually do this? Let's get practical because this breaks down into an incredibly simple, totally manageable weekly plan. You don't need to be a chef and you don't need a bunch of hard-to-find ingredients. And here it is. This is the entire plan. It really is this simple. Twice a week, you eat a serving of fatty fish that's about the size of your palm. That's the whole shebang. It's such a tiny commitment when you think about the potential reward. It's clear, it's easy, and we know it's effective. And hey, you've got options, lots of them. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring, anchovies, they are all loaded with those powerhouse EPA and DHA fats. And this is a big one, notice that fresh, frozen, or tinned all work. This makes it so easy and affordable. A simple can of sardines and olive oil is going to do the trick just as well. But what if you hate fish? Or maybe you're vegetarian or vegan? Totally fine. You don't have to miss out on these benefits at all. There is a fantastic alternative that gets you the exact same anti-inflammatory compounds. So let's just put these 2 options side by side. On the one hand, you've got your 2 servings of fish a week. On the other, you've got a daily algae oil capsule. And here's the cool secret. Fish don't just magically create omega-3s. They get them from eating algae. So with the capsule, you're just cutting out the middle fish, basically. You're going straight to the source. Just make sure you're getting between 500 and 700 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA each day. And that's really what this all boils down to. Whether it's 2 meals a week or 1 little capsule a day, it's such a small adjustment to your life, but the payoff, less stiffness, moving more easily, just plain feeling better in a matter of weeks, that is absolutely enormous.
What if a common food, something you probably cook with all the time, could actually work in a very similar way to a pain reliever like ibuprofen? I know it sounds a little out there, but the science is actually pretty incredible. And here they are, side by side. On one hand, you've got ibuprofen, the go-to for aches and pains for pretty much everyone. And on the other, a bottle of extra virgin olive oil. Yep, the same stuff you put on your salads. The hidden connection between these two is exactly what we're going to unpack.
So how in the world can an oil do the job of a pharmaceutical drug? Well, the magic isn't in the oil as a whole, but in a kind of secret weapon hiding inside it. Let's get into the science of what's really going on.
Meet the star of the show, a compound called oleocanthal. This is a natural little molecule found specifically in extra virgin olive oil, and its claim to fame is its seriously potent anti-inflammatory power. You know that peppery, sometimes stingy feeling you get in the back of your throat from a really good olive oil? That's it. That's the oleocanthal at work.
Now this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at how they work. Both oleocanthal and ibuprofen do the exact same job. They block the same inflammatory enzymes in your body, known as COX-1 and COX-2. But here's the game changer. Oleocanthal is completely natural and does this job without the well-known side effects of ibuprofen, like causing stomach issues. That's a huge deal. Okay, so that all sounds amazing in theory, right? But what happens when you actually put it to the test in a real scientific study? Where's the proof? Let's take a look at the evidence. So, we're going to zero in on a really important study that came out of Spain back in 2021. The researchers decided to tackle a really common and stubborn kind of pain, knee osteoarthritis, and see what extra virgin olive oil, or EVO, could really do for people suffering from it.
And this wasn't just a quick look-see. The study was really solid. They followed the participants for a full 12 weeks. And that length is so important because it shows us not just a quick fix, but whether the improvements can actually stick around and build over time.
And the results? Well, they were pretty stunning. The study had one group using a high-quality extra virgin olive oil and another group taking glucosamine, which is a really common supplement for joint pain. Just look at the chart. After those 12 weeks, it's not even close. The olive oil group had way bigger reductions in both their pain and their stiffness. But here's the part that really got scientists excited. For the people taking glucosamine, their progress kind of hit a wall and leveled off. The olive oil group, though, they just kept getting better. Their pain and stiffness scores continued to improve through the entire study. That suggests a benefit that actually builds on itself over time. All right, the science is definitely there. So now you're probably asking the big question. Okay, how do I actually use this? How can I make this work for me? So let's talk about a practical, daily guide to get the most out of it. How you use it really matters. The research suggests the sweet spot is about 2 to 3 tablespoons a day. And this next part is absolutely critical. You want at least one of those tablespoons to be raw. So drizzle it over a salad, pour it on veggies, whatever. Why? Because oleocanthal is delicate. High heat destroys it. So for any cooking, stick to low heat and definitely don't use it for high heat frying. You just be burning off all the good stuff. Now hold on. Before you run to the kitchen and grab that bottle that's been in your cabinet forever, there's a really important catch. Not all olive oil is created equal. The type and quality you buy makes all the difference. So to make sure you're getting an oil packed with oleocanthal, you need to become a label detective. There are 3 key things to look for. Number 1, it has to say extra virgin, non-negotiable. Number 2, look for cold pressed. That tells you they didn't use a bunch of heat to get the oil out, which preserves all those good compounds. And finally, find a harvest date. You want an oil that was harvested in the last 18 months, max. Fresher is way more potent. You know, it's one thing to see the science, but it's another to hear how it plays out in the real world. We got this message from a viewer, a woman in her late 50s, and she said, "I replaced my morning ibuprofen with a tablespoon of good olive oil. 3 weeks later, I was gardening without the usual post-work ache." Now, obviously, everyone is different, but that's a pretty amazing story. So it all brings us back to this one really cool question. We're so used to reaching into the medicine cabinet when we're in pain, but what if one of the most powerful, natural medicines has been right there in our kitchen the whole time? It's definitely some pretty powerful food for thought.
What if nature already has the perfect counterattack? I'm talking about something you could call nature's antioxidant bombs. And the solution is, believe it or not, surprisingly simple: a daily handful of mixed berries. Yep, we're talking about that powerhouse team of blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. Okay, so how can a few little berries possibly make such a big difference? Well, the answer is in the science, and it's actually pretty fascinating. Let's look at how these things really fight back. It all comes down to a compound called anthocyanins. You know that deep red, blue, and purple color in berries? That's them. And they do way more than just look pretty. They are serious inflammation fighters. So picture this. there's a battle going on inside your joints. The bad guys are these things called free radicals. They're the ones causing damage and making your cartilage stiff. But then the heroes arrive, the anthocyanins. And what's so cool is they can actually cross the blood-joint barrier to go right to the source and neutralize those villains. Now, this isn't just some nice idea or a theory. We've got proof. There's a recent study that shows this in action, and it is really compelling. So just in 2023, a team of researchers at the University of Liverpool decided to put this to the test. They wanted to see, for real, what a daily dose of berries could actually do for joint health. The way they did it was super straightforward. They took a group of adults between 50 and 70 and split them in two. One group got 150 grams of mixed frozen berries every day. The other group, they got a placebo, something that looked the same but, had no berries in it. And the results? Wow. The group eating the berries saw a 25% drop in C-reactive protein. Now, that's a key scientific marker doctors use to measure inflammation throughout the body. A 25% reduction is a huge deal. But here's what might be the most impressive part: how fast it worked. It only took 21 days. That's just 3 weeks. And the people eating berries were already reporting that they felt significantly less morning stiffness. So, okay, the science is solid, right? But the big question is, how do you translate this into a simple daily habit? Well, the good news is it's surprisingly easy. It really just comes down to 3 easy steps to make this a part of your daily routine. First, the dose. The study used 100 to 150 grams per day. The easiest way to picture that is about a small teacup full or just a generous handful. Totally achievable for anyone. Second, choose frozen. You really don't have to worry about buying expensive fresh berries, especially when they're out of season. The research shows that frozen ones are just as nutritionally potent. And let's be honest, they are almost always cheaper and way more convenient. And you can find them everywhere. If you're in the UK, just look for the store-brand frozen summer fruit mixes at places like Tesco or Sainsbury's. If you're in the US, Costco's organic triple berry blend is a fantastic option. And finally, adding them in is effortless. You don't even need to defrost them. Just toss them straight from the freezer into your morning porridge, a bowl of yogurt, or even on top of cereal like Weetabix. It's that simple. There's this story of a man in his 60s who started adding frozen berries to his breakfast. And just 2 weeks later, he had this breakthrough moment. He could bend over and tie his shoelaces without needing to sit down first. That might seem like a small change, but that feels like a huge win. So that leaves us with one final thought. Whether it's tying your shoes or reaching for something on a high shelf or just getting out of bed a little more easily, what's the small victory that this one simple daily habit could unlock for you?
If you're finding these first 3 foods helpful already, please consider tapping the subscribe button and the little bell.
Okay, so we've all heard about turmeric, right? That amazing golden spice everyone calls a superfood? But what if I told you that you're probably missing out on almost all of its benefits? Yep, it turns out this incredible spice has a huge secret. And here it is. This is the heart of the problem. When you take turmeric all by itself, your body only absorbs less than 1% of its most powerful compound, curcumin. Let that sink in. Less than 1%. That means 99% of all that goodness is literally just passing right through you.
So, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How in the world do we get access to all that untapped power? Well, the answer is actually incredibly simple. And I bet you already have it sitting in your kitchen.
That's it. We're not talking about some fancy expensive supplement. The key is just black pepper and a little bit of healthy fat. These 2 everyday ingredients are what create this incredible synergy with turmeric.
And this is where things get really, really cool. This isn't just a kitchen hack. We're talking about a solution that is backed by actual science to make turmeric unbelievably more effective.
Just look at this chart. See that tiny little bar? That's turmeric on its own. Now look at the other one. It's a giant. Research from St. John's Medical College discovered that when you add pepper and fat, you can boost curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. That's not a small improvement. It's a total game changer.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's not enough to just know the ingredients. To get that massive 2,000% boost, you have to get the quantities right. So, what is the magic formula?
Here you go. It's this simple. You start with your base, about a half to a full teaspoon of turmeric powder. Next, you need the activator, a good, generous pinch of black pepper. And finally, the carrier, 1 teaspoon of a healthy fat,
Think olive oil, coconut milk, or even a nice full-fat yogurt. That's what helps your body grab onto it. All right, now that you have the formula, let's put it into action. I'm going to show you a super simple and honestly delicious recipe that makes this whole thing incredibly easy to do every single day. You're going to love how easy this is. First, just gently warm a mug of milk. Dairy, oat, almond, whatever you like. Then, whisk in your turmeric and pepper until it's smooth. You can stir in a little honey if you want some sweetness. And here's the pro tip. Try drinking it about 20 to 30 minutes before you head to bed. Let's just break it down. Making this golden milk costs, what, pennies a day? It takes literally 2 minutes to whip up. And, really importantly, it's so gentle on your stomach, especially when you compare it to some other long-term options. It's just a smart, simple, natural habit.
And this might be the most powerful part of all. You don't have to wait forever to feel a difference. A lot of people start to notice real, tangible benefits, like their joints just feeling a bit easier and gentler in the mornings, sometimes in as little as 10 days. So really, with an upgrade this simple and this powerful, what have you got to lose?
So inside every single one of your joints, you got this stuff called cartilage. The best way to think of it is like a natural living cushion. Its whole job is to be plump and slippery so your bones can just glide over each other without any friction. And the key ingredient that keeps it that way? A protein I bet you've heard of, collagen. All right, so if collagen is the key to healthy cartilage, the problem starts when we don't have enough of it. And look, this isn't your fault, it's just a totally natural shift in our body's production line as we get older. And here's the stat that really tells the story. After you hit about age 45, your body's collagen production drops by 1 to 2% every single year. It's this slow, steady decline, and over time, that little deficit really adds up. And our cartilage, that vital cushion, it starts to lose its plumpness. Okay, so we have a collagen deficit. What in the world can we do about it? Now, this is where it gets really exciting. We're not just talking about theories here. We're going to look at a serious clinical trial that put this idea to the test and came back with some pretty amazing results. Now, this wasn't some small-time study. This was a proper randomized trial published in a respected medical journal. They took a group of people with knee osteoarthritis, and for 13 weeks, they gave one group 10 grams of collagen peptides a day, which are basically just tiny, easy-to-absorb bits of collagen. The other group got a placebo. The goal was super simple. Does this stuff actually work? And the results? They were crystal clear. The group taking collagen reported, on average, a 38% reduction in pain compared to the placebo group. I mean, think about that. That's a massive, life-changing number for anyone dealing with daily joint pain. But it wasn't just about pain. The collagen group also reported 44% less stiffness. Now that directly targets that crunchy feeling we were talking about at the beginning. It really suggests the cartilage was genuinely getting healthier and working better. And here's the real kicker. This wasn't something people had to wait months and months to feel. The study actually noted that participants started feeling these positive changes, less pain, less stiffness, as early as week 4. How encouraging is that? So the science is solid. The next logical question is, okay, how do I actually do this? The great news is there are 2 really straightforward ways to get that research dose of collagen into your daily routine. So let's compare the 2 main options. On one hand, you have homemade bone broth. It's the richest natural source of collagen's building blocks, but it does take some time to cook. On the other hand, you've got collagen powder, which is just incredibly convenient. You can stir it into your morning coffee or tea, and it vanishes. Both are great ways to get that 10-15 grams a day. It really just comes down to what fits your lifestyle. Now, if you want to go the homemade route, it is way simpler than you might think. You just need some bones, a slow cooker, and water. Here's a key tip. Add a little splash of vinegar. That acid actually helps pull all the good stuff, the minerals and the collagen, out of the bones. Let it simmer for 12 to 24 hours, skim the top, and then freeze it in daily portions. 1 mug a day is all it takes. Now, if convenience is king for you, then powder is the way to go. Look for something called collagen hydrolysate. That's just a fancy way of saying the collagen has been broken down into tiny pieces so it dissolves perfectly and your body can absorb it easily. Definitely get the unflavored kind so it won't change the taste of your drink. And stick to that research dose of 10 to 15 grams a day. This isn't about masking pain or just temporarily lubricating a joint. This is about giving your body the fundamental building blocks it needs to do its own repairs, from the inside out. And what are those building blocks? Well, as you can see, collagen is made up primarily of two key amino acids, glycine and proline. When you give your body these materials, especially from a super rich source like bone broth, it's like giving a construction crew the exact bricks and mortar they need to rebuild a crumbling wall. You're giving your body the actual tools for repair.
You know that feeling, right? That bone-on-bone grind in your joints, that creak when you stand up? It can make just moving around a total pain. But what if I told you the answer isn't some complicated medical procedure? What if it's way, way simpler?
Okay, so let's get down to the nuts and bolts of it. Inside every joint, you've got this stuff called synovial fluid. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like motor oil for your body. It's there to keep everything lubricated, so your bones just glide. When you're low on that oil, that's when you get that awful friction, that grinding.
So, the big question is, how do you top up this stuff? Now, your first thought might be some kind of pill, right? But the answer we're digging into today, well, it's probably already in your kitchen. We're talking about the raw materials your body needs to make this fluid itself, and you can get it from a simple handful of nuts and seeds. Yep, that's it.
But hold on, it's not just any handful of nuts. We're talking about a very specific mix here. You've got your almonds, Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, and walnuts. Why this particular combo? Because it's like the perfect recipe. It has the exact ratio of key minerals your body is crying out for to make that all-important joint fluid.
So what's the magic behind this mix? How does it actually work? Well, it all comes down to what I like to call the mineral power trio. And here's the really cool part. These things don't work in isolation. They work together. It's a team effort. First up, you've got magnesium. Its job is to relax all those tiny little muscles that get super tense around your joints. Then, zinc comes in and helps build collagen. That's like the scaffolding for your joints. And finally, you have vitamin E, which is basically a bodyguard protecting your cells from damage. It's this amazing three-part harmony for building and protecting your joints. And the first thing you need to know is how much we're talking about here. It's not some crazy diet change. It's just 30 grams. That's it. That's literally a small handful a day. I mean, how easy is that? It's such a simple little habit to pick up. And check this out, the results are pretty amazing. There was a study back in 2022, and what they did was they took a group of older adults and had them eat that 30-gram handful of nuts every day for 16 weeks. The result? They had significantly better joint lubrication, less stiffness. Just look at the difference here. The nut group saw this huge improvement, while the other group, nothing. The numbers really don't lie.
All right, so you want to get the absolute most out of this? Here's a little pro tip. The best time to have your handful of nuts is mid-afternoon. Why then? Well, it turns out that's when your body is primed to absorb magnesium. Total peak time. And hey, bonus, it's the perfect way to beat that afternoon energy slump. Win-win.
This story is about a retired teacher. And for her, the proof wasn't some number on a chart, it was standing right there in her kitchen. Get this, after just 3 weeks of eating her daily handful of nuts, she could open a jam jar all by herself again, without having to ask her husband for help. I mean, how amazing is that? It's those little things, right? That's what real-world impact looks like.
And really, that just says it all, doesn't it? No prescription needed, no complicated routine. It's simple, it's delicious, and you know what? It works. The science backs it up, and so do the real-life stories.
So we're going to put what we thought we knew to the test. For years, one food has just owned the conversation when it comes to fighting inflammation naturally, but a challenger has just stepped into the ring from a very, very unexpected corner. So let me ask you, what's the first food that pops into your head? If you're picturing a small, sour, red fruit, yep, you're on the exact same page as pretty much everyone else. That's right, tart cherries have been the reigning champ for ages, the poster child for cooling off those fiery joints. But over here, in this corner, we've got a mysterious new challenger, and honestly, the science behind it is pretty mind-blowing. Now this isn't just a hunch, this is based on a recent head-to-head scientific showdown. Back in 2023, some researchers decided, you know what, let's pit the old favorite against this new contender. And the results, well, they were beyond decisive.
And the winner, by an absolute knockout, was watercress. I'm not kidding. That humble, peppery little leafy green you usually see as a garnish on your plate, it turns out it's an absolute powerhouse.
And get this, the margin of victory was just staggering. Watercress wasn't just a little bit better. The study found it was a whopping 42% more effective than tart cherries at lowering uric acid, which is a major driver of that painful joint swelling.
To really put that into perspective, if you think of tart cherries as the baseline, 100% effective, well, watercress just blows right past it. This is not a small improvement, folks. This is a massive leap forward in understanding how food can impact our joint health.
And we're not talking about some obscure blog post here. This was published in a top-tier science publication, the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry. It was a straight-up comparison that measured all the key markers, and maybe the most incredible part? They saw these huge results in just 2 weeks.
It all boils down to this one enzyme, xanthine oxidase. Just think of it like a little factory in your body that's constantly producing uric acid. Now, when this factory goes into overdrive, you get super high uric acid levels, and that can lead to these painful crystals forming in your joints. That's the classic sign of gout and other inflammatory issues. In fact, a lot of powerful medications work by doing one thing, shutting down this exact factory.
And here it is, the secret weapon. Watercress is loaded with this unique compound called phenethyl isothiocyanate. Yeah, let's just call it PEITC. This little molecule does something incredible. It directly puts the brakes on that xanthine oxidase enzyme. So just like those prescription drugs, it goes right to the source and tells the uric acid factory to just slow down.
And as if that wasn't already enough, watercress is also just a nutritional superstar. It packs more vitamin K than spinach, it's got more vitamin C than oranges, and why does that matter for your joints? Well, both of those vitamins are absolutely critical for building and maintaining healthy collagen in your cartilage. It's a total win-win.
So the protocol from the research is actually refreshingly simple. For the first 2 weeks, you go all in. 1 85-gram bag of watercress every single day. After that initial blast, you can just switch to a maintenance phase, having that same amount just 3 or 4 times a week to keep those benefits rolling.
And getting it into your diet is super easy. The main thing is to eat it raw or only very lightly wilted, because that's what preserves that powerful PEITC compound. You can toss it in a simple salad, blend it into a soup, or, and this is my favorite, just wilt it into some scrambled eggs. It gives them this amazing, peppery, nutritious kick to start your day. Finding it is pretty straightforward too. If you're in the UK, it's a staple at most of the big supermarkets like Waitrose and M&S. And for those of you in the US, just keep an eye out for brands like B&W or Olivia's. You'll usually find them in the pre-washed greens aisle.
This quote, wow, it just says everything. A 72-year-old viewer followed this exact plan. And in just 10 days, not even the full 2 weeks, they could get down on the floor and play with their grandchildren again, something that joint pain had literally stolen from them for 5 years. That's not a statistic, That is getting your life back.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, if something as simple as watercress can be this powerful, what other incredible, science-backed solutions are just hiding in plain sight, waiting for us in the produce aisle? It's a pretty powerful thought.
So, okay, how do we actually optimize the day? Well, we're going to use a really simple meal-by-meal template. Think of each part of the day as a new opportunity to fuel your body well, and the best part, without all the stress.
So here's the roadmap for the day. It's just 4 simple stages: breakfast, lunch, that super important afternoon snack, and then dinner and bedtime. So let's kick things off with breakfast.
First up, we're kicking things off with a warm bowl of porridge and some frozen berries. It's so simple. The fiber from the oats is going to give you that nice sustained energy. And the berries? They add a huge burst of antioxidants. And here's a great tip. For an extra protein boost to help with skin and joint health, you can just stir some collagen powder right into your morning tea or coffee. I mean, how easy is that? It's an incredibly simple but really effective start to the day.
Okay, on to lunch. The big focus here is on healthy fats and greens. Think about a salmon or mackerel salad. It's absolutely packed with omega-3s, which, as you know, are so crucial for your brain health. And don't be shy with the extra virgin olive oil. Drizzle it on generously. Its anti-inflammatory properties are just incredibly beneficial. Then, you top it all off with some super nutrient-dense watercress, and bam, you've got this powerful midday meal that's going to keep you energized, not feeling sluggish.
Ah, the 3 p.m. slump. We've all been there, right? Well, here is the simple fix. 30 grams of mixed nuts. That's it. So why does this work so incredibly well? It's that amazing combination of healthy fats, protein, and fiber. It gives you a really steady release of energy, it stabilizes your blood sugar, and it keeps you feeling satisfied all the way until dinner. And the best part? Absolutely zero prep required. All right, dinner time. And this is where the flexibility really shines. You just cook any protein you like in some healthy olive oil. Seriously, it's that simple. Then, to help you wind down for the night, a warm turmeric golden milk can be a total game changer. You see, the active compound in turmeric, which is curcumin, is a super powerful anti-inflammatory, and it can really help your body repair while you sleep. Okay, so that's the daily template. Pretty simple, right? But what's the actual philosophy behind it? What makes it so effective? This, right here, is where this whole approach really truly stands apart from all the typical diets out there.
And this really just lays it all out, doesn't it? I mean, look at the difference. On one side, you've got that familiar diet culture stuff, the constant mental load of counting calories, that awful feeling of deprivation, having to hunt down all these weird, expensive ingredients. Ugh. But then on the other side, you have this strategy. The focus completely shifts to real, simple food. It's all about removing the rules, which gives you freedom and makes it so much easier to be consistent.
All right, hang on. Before we wrap up, we absolutely need to talk about something really important. While this plan is fantastic for most people, there are a few crucial safety things you need to be aware of, so please pay very close attention to this next part.
It's simple, really. Your health and your safety always come first. Okay, so to be super clear, the source material points out that these foods are exceptionally safe for the vast majority of people. However, and this is important, if you happen to be taking warfarin or other blood thinners, or if you have any gallbladder issues, or if you're on strong anti-inflammatory meds, you must check with your GP before you start upping your intake of things like omega-3s, turmeric, or watercress. It's just a smart, responsible thing to do.
Okay, so with that very important safety note covered, let's get back to it. Let's talk about how you can actually start putting all of this into action. Because really, it's all about taking that first simple step. So let's bring it all home. What's the big takeaway here? It's that this is a flexible, realistic template. It is not a strict, miserable diet. By focusing on delicious, nourishing whole foods instead of getting bogged down counting calories, you can build a routine that you can actually stick with. And of course, just to say it one more time, always be mindful and check with your doctor if you have any health conditions you're working with.
And that pretty much brings us to the end. You know, the real power in all this is just how simple it is. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. Looking at this whole template, what is just one simple meal you could easily try this week? That's it, just one. Maybe it's the porridge with berries. Or hey, maybe it's that salmon salad. Just starting with one small thing, that can make all the difference in the world.
Join us here at Silver Vitality Guide because your best chapter deserves the right tools.
If you found this helpful, please do tap subscribe and the bell.
We release a new evidence-based guide, always designed for busy adults who refuse to let age define them. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Here's to moving more freely very soon.